All right. I think we got critical mass. We just hit the 400 mark. So that's probably good. We can get started. Want to thank everybody for joining us today. This is going to be a really good conversation. We don't get Lucci and Wall Street Jesus together on the mic that often. So we got a bunch of people on social media and stuff who are hyped for this, I think for good reason. It's gonna be a very good conversation. The whole reason we're here talking is this is a lead up to the launch of our new course, which is called The Complete Flow Trader. And it is a course taught by Wall Street Jesus himself. It is the only time he has taught all of this stuff, everything that he knows about flow trading live. It's the only time that we are going to offer this kind of course. So we'll get into that later. But for now, we're going to get into a conversation about flow trading and how you do it differently. And so I will introduce two people who probably don't need introductions here, but you guys can see Sang Lucci, I think. Lucci, say what up.
What's going on, everybody?
Lucci is obviously the founder and head trader of SangLucci.com. He has become kind of a legend in the FinTwit space. He has a very different style of trading and using flow in his trading than Wall Street Jesus. So that's one of the reasons why he's joining us here. And then we're also joined by Wall Street Jesus. Jesus, say what up.
What's up? They can see me, right? You guys can see me, right?
Not quite, not yet.
They feel me in their souls.
Yes, that's the way we like it.
Yeah. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, and I'm Charlie Bathgate. I'm the CEO of our operations here, and these guys are business partners. But you're not really going to be hearing much from me today. I'll just be playing MC. So yeah, I'll set the stage here, and then I'll let you guys take it away. So basically, when we were doing prep for this course, we were talking about the idea. Jay and I were talking about the idea that there is two ways that you can trade with flow. There is trading almost entirely based on the flow itself, and then there's using flow as a confirmation indicator. So Jay would fall into the former category and Lucci would fall into the latter category. So I just wanted to open up here, and Lucci, maybe you can start out and talk a little bit about just like the origins of you getting exposed to flow trading. I don't know if it came from seeing Jay on Twitter and everything, and then how you started integrating it into your style. And then we can flip over to Jay and hear some of how he compare and contrast from there.
The wild thing is like Jay was really, if not the first person to really push this kind of information out there. And when he gets on, he'll tell you his background and why, that was kind of his thing. And he was giving it out for free. He was giving it out for free. I remember the conversation that you, me, and Peter had about Jay before, and Peter was just like, dude, we got to get this guy. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He calls himself Wall Street Jesus. What are we talking about here? We had all these followers and everything, and of course we started looking at it. I started looking at the feed. I started looking at what he was putting out there, and of course I come from an options background. I've always traded options, no matter what. And he'd throw out sweep orders, block orders, and things like that, and it was interesting. It was interesting because, again, the market goes in these weird cycles where it finds new ways to reinvent the same shit that existed decades before, and then it just kind of regurgitates itself in a new form because of technology and because how we communicate with each other. So Jay kind of not really stumbled upon, but he just kind of looked at this world, this whole data feed, as a way to influence, the markets. And lo and behold, what we're looking at today is, 20 other competing products now, where everybody is talking about trading flow. And one of the biggest is, of course, the Nigerians on CNBC, who, if you trade in an office like I do, and CNBC is playing in the background all day, you can't get away from these fucking guys. You can't get away from these guys. And that's all everybody even talks about. Even when you're on regular segments on TV, everybody is talking about flow. So you now have a world where it is like the number one form of looking at sort of action in the markets and creating a sort of filter for yourself to find out what to trade, what's moving, what could be coming down the pipeline. And this has kind of become one of the foremost ways of analysis in just looking at the market. So for me, as an options trader, Jay kind of gave me a world of information here, and this was just another sort of stream of information for me to take in and for me to adjust what I was doing. So, in a nutshell, for me, what I use it for is to get me better prices on shit that I already got, right? So, for example, recently, like Jay has posted, tons of flow on Tesla. There's been tons of bearish activity on Tesla. Finally, and I've been aggressively trading around it. And I'll use some of the sentiment and I'll use everything, all the information that gets put into this chat room to figure out, and then of course my own analysis, which is tape, to figure out if I can get a better price on my option, if I wait a couple of days or if I hang out, because all of a sudden if I'm buying puts on something and the whole market is bullish, I'm going to be able to get a cheaper price on my option. So why the hell am I buying it right now? Why am I going to stick myself in the foot here when I can just wait? So the information for me helps me inform my own sort of idea of where something can go, and what expirations I should be going after. Where's the volume at? And then overall color on the market as a whole, because even if I'm just trading one name or two names, I need to know what the hell is going on everywhere. And that'll continue to give me an informed decision on how heavy I should be. Should I go even harder? Should I lean back a little bit and come to this later? So that's kind of how I particularly use the flow. Now, as far as the introduction to Jay, we're so happy that we did it because he's the product, guys, and we'll talk more about it, of course, through this webinar. But Jay's the guy, man. He's just the fucking guy.
And Jay, when you introduce yourself, or when you talk a little bit about how you use flow, just kind of the basics of it, I'm getting some questions in the chat. Some people just don't know what flow is, what flow trading is. So maybe you can give a quick, primer too on that too.
Yeah, and it's funny how Lucci touched on how big, just how it blew up flow from when I met you guys, and it was in the process then. I'm not going to mention names, but it was me, a couple other guys on Twitter. You probably know of them. And then now it's like everybody. And I think the same thing that drew, like the allure there that got me really interested in it is, I think, obviously what everybody's interested in it. Like Lucci was saying, you go back to, through the years of this game and you always find similar instances. Like everybody was interested to see insider buying and selling, to see what the smart money, how they were positioning, but that information was delayed. You got that late. So it kind of wasn't that much of an edge there because you were getting the information late. You weren't privileged. Like what we're going on right now, all these, what are they, 13F filings from all these big shots, Strunkenmiller, Soros, what they buy, what they sell, everyone's getting all excited. That's from last quarter. You know what I mean? It's old news. They're not even in these things probably anymore, but you see how everybody gets so gassed up to see what the guys who know what they're doing, right? How they're positioning in this game. So the beauty of flow was, and it's misused now a lot because you got a lot more hands involved who obviously don't know what they're looking at. But the beauty of flow was you had access to this information in real time, in real time. Like I remember the excitement when Lucci and I got together and we first started the room and all, and he would see it developing on tape. Watching them sitting on bids and stuff like that. And then right after that, I would, report that sweepers were coming in and aggressively taking out offers. So
Yep.
you could see the whole market develop like right in front of your eyes, you know, and there's nothing else out there really. You know, tape reading is the only thing that comes close in the sense, but there's nothing else really that gives you that, you know, access to that type of information. Right, Luch?
To his point, like I'll give an example, right? And then we'll get to, you know, for those folks who are, you know, want to know what flow is exactly, but let me just throw out a couple of points here. It's like if I'm watching tape, like again, like I'm usually, because I'm a tape reader, because I come from that world, I'm usually in there. I'm usually one of the first ones in there on a particular idea, right? And then all of a sudden, Jay will be like, dude, somebody just swept $1 million of the same put that I'm in. And I'll watch the order go off and I'll be like, who the fuck was that? And it's just a giant program. And then it'll just be like more confirmation because it's somebody else who is me. I'm literally looking at me who is just times 10 or times 20. So I'm looking at a bunch of me's sitting around times 20 and then are just slinging around stuff. And they're doing the same shit. You know what I mean? They're taking bets out everywhere. If it's a particular name I'm looking at, and then Jay calls out something, I see it. I watch these level twos. I watch these orders. You know, somebody's sitting on a bid for 500 contracts in a freaking Tesla option that costs $10. That shit's like 500,000, $1 million. You know what I mean? And we're sitting there. I'm sitting there just watching them, and then I'll watch it go off on the tape, and boom, Jay will hit the order. So you start to thinking, if I'm watching it in real time, then all of a sudden, now the street's getting it, right? Jay will pick it up. Every single one of these other networks will pick it up, push it out to their communities. And what do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean? So that it's just how the market has moved and has been moving since it started. We're just talking about the next wave and where to get that information. Before, if we're talking about people sitting on the street yelling bids and offers or whatever, there's one way of getting information, you know? And then if we're talking about when they digitized everything, you know, now it's as the technology moves, we're literally just talking about the same thing here. How everybody piles into something and you get these big moves that happen in the market. So again, that's just one quick example. And then to another point that Jay was saying about how things have gotten muddied through all this competition. One thing y'all got to realize is that, you can go to a flow algo out there. You can go to a cheddar flow thing. You can go to so many other providers of flow. And where the I forget what the term is, but where it meets the rough, so to speak, is in the context. And that's what Jay does way better than anybody out there. Because do you know what's happening? There's trillions of dollars that move in the options market every single fucking day. And if Jay sat there and had to look at all that shit, number one, it's half of it is useless. 80% of it is useless.
I was just going to say more than half. Yeah.
More than half of it is useless to us as traders who trade momentum, right? And who trade on, this sort of speculation, so to speak, in the markets. Half of the shit is useless, right? And that's what you guys are piping into. If you don't know what to look for, and if you don't know market mechanics at all, and you don't come from that background, you're gonna be looking at these things, and you're gonna be making a lot of assumptions, and they're gonna get you in trouble.
Yep.
And what Jay does is Jay is the filter of all filters. He does the shit, so you ain't got to do it. And I don't want to do it. I know you damn well don't want to do it. You don't even know what you need to do when you pipe into some of these filters, and they're just showing you this whole world of data. I have a trading floor in Puerto Rico. Tons of my guys use several different sources of flow, including Wall Street Jesus, right? Now, if somebody tells me something is going on because they saw it through their filter, the first question what the first question I ask them is, where the hell did you get that? Did you get it from Jesus? If it's not from Jesus, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. You want to know why? It's literally because they don't scan for shit that is actionable, for shit that I can use. If you post some random options order on some stock, there's thousands of them on every single stock that you trade. What the fuck do I want to look at that for? No. Okay, so it goes further into the definition of flow, which we're going to get into. Jesus will explain it to you, and why the need for the context and the filter is so important.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I like that hit me early on. It got me, I wouldn't say in trouble. I didn't blow myself up, luckily, but it cost me money and was frustrating. I couldn't find like I said, when I was first drawn to the flow, I saw something there, but I couldn't find consistency playing off it. You know what I mean? And generally, what I was first attracted to was kind of what the Nigerians do, the unusual options activity, UOA.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And what that generally means is any order that's unusual in comparison to what the name normally trades. Okay. So that's how I first started trading flow. And what would happen is same thing. I spin my wheels a lot. Okay. Some were nice winners, and all of a sudden I hit a brick wall. And I was wondering what the hell was going on. But Lucci hit the nail on the head. Once I opened up the book to fully understand like what's going on with flow, like there's call buyers and put buyers, guys, all day long, all sorts of sides. Okay. If you can't get a grasp on what that player is doing around that big order, you have no clue. That one order that you're getting off a scan, he can buy 10 million bucks worth of calls in Tesla. He could be bearish in the name. Yep. You know what I mean? For all you know, you have no idea. So that's when like I really started digging into the flow, and I went from unusual options activity and a scanner to now digging in so I can see and put pieces of the puzzle together of the positioning aspect. You know what I mean? Oh, this guy, I remember this guy bought $2 million of so-and-so 3 months ago. Yep. He's probably rolling out now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
All those things, Luce, they can be frustrating, especially like there are new members that come into the steam room, okay? And they get all excited. They want to see big orders and they want to take action. And then they'll see a big sweep in a square, a name they really want to get in. And then they'll hear me say, whoa, this guy's rolling out May calls. He's actually taking some profit on the transaction. So it's not an aggressive bet. And you can see it's almost like a letdown to them. You know, they were ready to fire. They wanted to load up, tail in this guy on square calls, but it's not an aggressive bull bet. And that's generally to sum it up, what I realize is there's one aspect of flow that really can create momentum. It can be a profitable and transaction if you could actually find some consistency. And that's the aggressive nature behind the buying, right? So let me put it in simple terms and think of Lucci, right? Because like Lucci said, this is all Lucci's out there swinging all sorts of money, right? Throwing around.
Indeed.
I'm Lucci's boy, and I whisper in his ear, Lucci, listen, okay, don't ask questions, but you got to buy Tesla puts. The stock is going to get crushed over the next week or so. Okay. Don't ask questions. Don't be a piker. Try to get filled. Just buy the fucking thing. Okay. Just buy puts. Right. So if I came up to Lucci now take a picture of Lucci now, right? Coming into the office the next day at his desk in the morning.
Yep.
You think Lucci's going to sit on the bid, or you think Lucci's going to buy put spreads?
No.
Right. Do you think Lucci's like going to hedge with some stock, or buy a block and hedge it with some calls on the side, right? Lucci's going to come in and sweep the order as aggressively as possible. Couldn't care less what he gets filled at, because his boy who he trusts with information just told him Tesla's going to get crushed, right?
That's it.
Right. That's the confidence, the conviction, the aggressiveness behind some of this sweeper activity out there.
And remember, you're talking about people who the price doesn't matter to them. They want they want that action. That's all it is. So if you're looking at a spread, and Tesla's got some pretty wide spreads. So you're looking at a 40-cent spread. And again, this is where tape comes in. This is what I do. So you're looking at a 40-cent spread. You see somebody cross 40 cents and say, fuck it, just give me everything. Who the hell is, you know what I mean? Those things are what I sit there and I live for. This is what we live for, me and Jay. Yeah. And again, he doesn't even trade options. He trades completely different. He doesn't even do half the shit that I do. He has his own strategy, but we both use the same damn thing. You know, we're both looking at the same damn thing. We might take some other trades off of it, but we're both looking at the same damn thing. And we're both looking at the simple fact of how the order gets executed. And that's what tape is all about for me. And that's why I have my course where I teach tape reading, and Jay's going to hook you up with a completely different way of just looking at more or less the same shit that I'm looking at, but just in a much more focused way, which can offer you many different strategies and many different opportunities than what I can, as far as how, you know, you want to look at these bets and what you might want to do.
Yeah, and the thing is too, is like Lucci just mentioned, that I think it's a big misconception that you have to trade a certain way to take advantage of, you know, sweeper positioning. And it's so far from the truth. Like Lucci mentioned, me, if I see that type of action coming in, like I'm more comfortable grabbing as much equity as I can at that price and day trading off the equity. Where Lucci's going to go right for the calls because that's where he's comfortable. That's where he makes his money. You know what I mean? So everybody's different. But that's, I think the beauty of order flow is that no matter what style of trader you are, you can find there's something in it for you. It's just the ability to focus, concentrate, and be disciplined enough to wait for that. Right?
Exactly.
Like you wait.
Yeah, and that's on you.
Looking for. Yeah.
That shit is on you. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay and I, through Jay's course, you know, you're going to get a lot of information on, you know, what to do with some of this flow. But again, you still have to apply your strategy, your own, you know, mental and emotional breakdown. You know, me and Charlie, we teach a lot of psychology as well, but at the end of the day, this shit's on you. You know what I mean? So if you decide to incorporate it with whatever you want to do, where you're buying something, if you're able to get out of it, Jay has a system where he sees something, he goes heavy in the equities, and he's taking his profits quick. That's it. That's what he's done. That's what he's been doing for decades now. You know what I mean? This is who he is. Me, I'm like a hater by nature. I like the short shit. It's just who I am, man. It's just who I am. So I'm waiting around for Jay to give me some confirmation that, hey, you know, shit, these calls ain't working out here. You know what I mean? These people who are throwing around 100 grand on these calls that have been working for God knows how long, I'm waiting around for the shit to not work, you know? And then all of a sudden, let's say I'm in some short positions and he gives me some color, or it's just a bullish day. I know, or at least I should be leaning off that position. Now, do I always do it? And, you know, do I take some losses? Of course. You know, am I paying attention all the time? You know, should I listen to them more? Of course, especially in this freaking market, you know, so absolutely. But that's on you. That's a whole nother part of trading that you guys have to conquer as well. But the flow, again, as Jesus said, it can be incorporated into so many strategies. I got futures traders in the office in Puerto Rico. I don't know why I'm pointing back here, but it would be south. Anyways, I got futures traders who they'll just look at sentiment from Jesus, and all they're looking for is, hey, is shit bullish? Is it not? All right, I'm gonna buy some ES over here. Or I'm gonna buy some Qs. Are people buying banks? Are people buying this? All right, I'll mess around with some Dow stocks today. I'll trade the Dow futures. All right, somebody's sweeping gold shit, or somebody's sweeping energy stuff, or somebody's sweeping material shit. Jay will be a great point of just information on figuring out where that money flow is going. You know, and that's so important for you guys, no matter what strategy you have, to not only find opportunities, but to protect yourself from, you know, the shit that you're doing. So, yeah.
And that's one of the things that we, you know, because Jay's in here teaching people all the time in the steam room, talking thousands of traders, you know, over the years we've been running this, and he's seen people from all different walks of life trade flow, use it in different ways. And so when we started putting together this course, we said we have to do it in a way such that Jay teaches people who come from, let's say, a technical analysis background, who are equities traders, you know, teach them how to use flow versus like an options trader who's a tape reader who is scalping options, right? So different time frames, different, ways of viewing the market. Jay's going to give you guys a framework for how to integrate flow into that. And on that note, I think it'd be interesting for people to hear from you guys, to hear like a trade, kind of a trade example, compare and contrast, Lucci. So like for you, does your process for putting on a trade, because you're using flow as a confirmation indicator, right?
Exactly.
So does your process start with tape and then?
Oh, sorry.
No.
It starts with tape. It always starts with tape. It always starts with market sentiment. It always starts there first. It's like, okay, are we bullish? Are we bearish? Or are we flat? If I can sit there and get a good feeling about either one of those, then I know what to do, right? If we're bullish, I buy a fucking call. If we're bearish, I get a put. And if we're flat, I sell some shit, right? And most of the time we're sitting around flat. So I'll just sell shit to everybody else. So whoever wants to take a punt, yeah, sure, I'll sell it to you, and you're gonna go to zero.
Another key thing that Lucci does. I didn't mean to cut you off, Lucci, but
sure.
That people know about you. What Lucci does that's different, a lot different than what I do. Lucci concentrates on a certain number of names. You understand? There's sweeper activity in a gazillion other names that Lucci couldn't give a rat's ass about. Oh, excuse my French, but you know what I mean, right? He couldn't care less. He's watching names that he's traded throughout his career that he's comfortable with, that he likes to trade, right? Tesla's one of them he's always talking about. So to talk about the complete opposite, I don't know what I'm playing coming into the day. I have no idea what I'm playing. Whatever sees the most aggressive activity that day is generally what I'm in for that day, right? So Lucci he already did the work and knows pretty much what he's going to trade. It's Good just point. He's waiting for confirmation, like you said, Charlie. And I have no clue prior to the day.
Exactly. So where our styles would line up, again, like I'm waiting for him to push flow on some of the tech names that I love to trade, and some of the bank names, or just SPY. I will look at every single index order that he puts out there. Why? Because I want to know who's betting around short term, what's going down here, because that helps me give me my sentiment read. If I know we're bullish, if I know we're bearish, if I know we're flat, I know what to do. You know what I mean? I know what to do in any of those markets. I already know what to do. All I'm looking for is a little bit more confirmation. And then if I happen to be fighting myself or fighting the information that I'm seeing, through what Jay pumps out there, then that's on me, and that's on a lot of us, right? So, Jay had mentioned that he doesn't know what he's trading, and he waits for these opportunities to come to him. 90% of traders, we ain't waiting. What are we doing? We're out there punting on everything here, trying to make shit happen. So that's on you. That is a personal, mental, and psychological thing that everybody has to work through. But yeah, I mean, again, that's to answer your question, Charlie.
I know you used to do it. Well, you did it. You would do it often. I guess it depends on the times. But do you swing as much anymore? Like you're holding overnight?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll swing now a lot more than I used to. So I will definitely hold overnight a lot more than I used to. And again, like what I'm looking for is those big reversals. And another thing you guys got to realize about Jay, this man doesn't sleep. He does so much more analysis than just the flow that we offer in the steam room. So if you really sit there and look at some of the information that he posts, it goes way beyond just hey, somebody put $100,000 bet on SPY, or somebody threw a put out on Qs, or somebody's messing around with Tesla or whatever. He will explain so much more about put to call ratios, gammas, all this kind of stuff that he uses, personally, and then he throws it out there for everybody. And all of that is just color. It's more color. It's more information. It's just more. You got to use it for that confidence. And this is the context thing that I was talking about. Like if you go through, other flow providers, I'm not shitting on them at all.
No, that's what they provide. Exactly. They that's their business. It's basically a scanner that they provide, right? That's what they're doing. They're spitting out orders, and that's the extent of it.
And that's the extent of it. So
Right.
when you get trapped in that kind of situation, you're no better than a crypto Discord chat talking about, the next poo coin that just got listed on fucking Pancake Swap. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that shit doesn't work. It has its moments. But what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here longevity wise? And what are we talking about here about a real trading strategy that's going to pay you time and time and time and time again? We're talking about every day here, and we're talking about trillions of dollars that gets pushed through the options market. This is just one particular market. Jay, at some point, we got to do the crypto version of this, because all that data, by the way, and this is a higher level conversation Jay and I could have, and some of the advanced traders would have. US equity markets, data for US equity markets, it's hoarded like a damn, it's like the Gestapo. You got to be part of this data mafia. And if you ain't paying for this particular data, which is owned and controlled by only a few select providers, you can't get this fucking data. You can't be Joe Schmo getting this data. And if you are, and if you can, you don't even know what the fuck to do with it. You don't even know what to do, because it's so expensive. It's so massive. In crypto, the shit's free. The shit's all out there. Right. But for US equities and options and anything US with the SEC there and FINRA there, you can't get it. You can't get it. And if you want it, you got to pay out the ass. There's hedge funds that pay $1 million a year for data. Why? So they can backtest a bunch of shit and they can just roll out automated strategies left and right. You got $1 million. You got plus the devs to run those strategies. Do you have that? No, we don't. We do not have that kind of infrastructure. That's what you need from a data perspective in the States. This is again why people are running to crypto, because it's an unregulated kind of world, but we can go into that conversation. This is more of an advanced sort of trader talk, but that's just a little piece on how things are done in the US regarding options data.
Yep.
100%. So Jay, for you, Lucci's talking about how he uses flow, how he, sort of layers it on to the other, all the different pieces of information, all the different sort of feeds that he's got coming into his brain. Are you saying that you basically look at flow raw? That's it. That's what's coming in. Maybe a little bit of charts, a little bit of basic patterns and stuff, or what's, give everybody the kind of simple breakdown of how you use the high level of how you use flow.
Yeah, I'm generally, what am I looking at every day, you're saying, as far as when I what am I staring at every day, or what's my goal to gain out of it? Like, what am I trying to pull out of it? Or what am I looking at?
Yeah, what are you looking at? Like, what's your trade process? Like, when an idea is getting put onto your radar, what role does flow play in that process?
So this is exactly my approach. I love the market, as many of you guys know. It's an obsession, right? So, I'll read everything from Bloomberg and shit like that, and that's not going into any actionable process. You know what I mean? So I'm coming into the day well versed, but none of that's really playing a big part in what I'm going to take action in on that day. So when I fire up the machines and I'm getting ready to go, what I'm generally staring at is just raw sweeper data. Okay. So I'm seeing sweeps come in on all sorts of names. And what I'm trying to pull from that, right? My ultimate goal, what I'm trying to pull from that is, one, what Lucci hit on earlier, so a player or an institution or a program coming in aggressively buying up calls in a name, right? And my first instinct for that is to day trade off the momentum that's going to be generated from that buying, okay? Because here's the thing, like, if you're a day trader, and this is something I'm going to go into depth in the course, obviously, Charlie, we were talking about, but if you're a day trader, you shouldn't give a shit if that bet's going to work out or not. That means nothing to you, right? The only question you should be asking yourself is this action going to generate enough momentum for me to make a profit off of it? Exactly. That's it. So many people get caught up, about the $1 million bet and this and that. If that shit can't get the stock into some sort of frenzy mode for you to get in the middle of and make some money, it's useless to you as a day trader, right?
Mhm.
Now, that's just a day trader. So as far as day trading is concerned, I'm looking for a particular type of buying, an aggressive pattern of buying that I have confidence, I have conviction is going to generate momentum now. Okay, now. I couldn't care less in what name, what it is. Do I like the name? That's the only question I'm asking myself. Is it going to get this thing moving now? Okay. And again, we could go into the details of how it would generate momentum. That we could hold a whole webinar on that, obviously. Okay. So as far as swing trading is concerned, okay, and it's kind of weird of my setup. I'm day trading equity because I can be quicker, more nimble. You know what I mean? I can push buttons quicker, get in and out quicker. For swing trading and position purposes, I would call it more position trading. I position trade in calls, solely calls. Okay. Sometimes I'll sprinkle a little equity when I get the degenerate juices flowing, but mostly calls is what I'm looking to build a position in. For that type of trading, I'm looking for a different type of buying. I'm looking more on the accumulation side. Okay. So I'm looking for, again, a player, a fund, an institution to be coming in and to show commitment. Okay. So now I'm looking for that particular player to be making a bet on the name, not momentum. The momentum now that I don't give a shit about, right? I'm looking to build a position. I'm looking if it comes in and these guys come back and start adding in that name, I want to add as well, right? And usually I'm going 3 to 6 months out on those calls. And I'm looking to build a nice position on the best type of action, which is aggressive accumulation in the name. And I'm making a bet that whoever's ever accumulating in that name is going to be right on that bet. The complete opposite of what I look for in a day trade. You understand? So that's what generally I was trying to get at earlier. And you and I, Charlie, have held some discussions in a lot more depth. There are different things you need to look for different styles of trading. A lot of people like off a scanner, they'll approach, $1 million bet. I can do anything with it. I could day trade it. I can swing trade it. I can do this. I can do that. That's where people get in trouble. There's a different type of flow for each style of trading. If you're looking to really find, some real consistency doing it. So that's generally my two strategies though. For intraday purposes, I'm looking solely for momentum, right? And it's a simple question I ask myself. Can this action that's coming in right now generate momentum? Can it get this thing going right now? Yes, I'm firing. No questions asked. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
So those are the two. My two go-to. Pretty much everything I do is based on those two styles.
And then you got people who are like Ron Friedman, who runs our Trading the Post program, who they look at flow and they're integrating that into much longer term time horizons, right?
Yep.
Like leaps, multiple months at a time, stuff like that. So there are people who, the basic premise here is that there's a way to use flow for any different type of trading style, or, whether you're an equities trader, an options trader, whatever it is, but you got to go beneath the surface. You can't just look at these orders, just the raw feed of flow orders of sweeps and blocks, and then just start clicking buttons and assuming it's going to work out for you, right? I mean, you really have to customize and personalize it to your strategy.
And again, I'm biased, obviously, right? I mean, flow is my thing, but I think that's the beauty of the flow is it's not just giving you an idea, right? It's giving you a plan. There's a plan around it, right? So in other words, let's say you're an investor. You're not an active trader. You like to buy names and you want to be patient and hold them, right? You're looking for that larger risk reward in a sense. You see some aggressive action come into, like Ranchero looks at, leaps. That's more for you than it would be for Lucci and I, right? I mean, we're not going to day trade off action in leaps, right? I mean, we're asking for a miracle there. So Ranchero would be more interested in that, buying leaps, writing covered calls against it over the short term and stuff like that. Now, on the same thing there, if somebody comes in and buys weekly puts in that name, you shouldn't care less, right? If you're going off the aggressive action in leaps, that put action means nothing to you, right? So
Right.
there's context behind it all, depending on how you're using the information.
And what Jay's talking about is the actual understanding of what it is, how to use it. And that's, again, that's why you need him. In reality, I'm going to take his course too, because, you know, I need it as well. There's a good amount of times where I just ain't paying attention. You know, and there's things that I can pick up that can help me in a huge way. For me, it's just protecting myself against myself mostly, because if I'm making a directional bet and the flow is showing me like, hey, you know, this bet is going to give you some issues here, I got to hedge. I got to put on a hedge, or I got to find a better price, you know. And these are things that I use it for. But it's the understanding of how all of these people use this particular flow to back their own strategies. If you're a trader who understands all those strategies and how they work, why they use the flow, how they hedge, you know, the day trading aspect of it, what really causes the momentum, if you understand all that, you got the game. You got the game on lock. Now you just gotta work on yourself, you know, and you're right there. So, you know, this is why again, Jay is unmatched here when it comes to analyzing the flow, when it comes to analyzing the markets, and his work ethic alone. Like, this dude doesn't sleep. You will see updates from him at freaking 2 a.m. about, you know, hedge fund positioning, institutional flow, shit that has everything to do with the market, but not necessarily stuff to do with actual flow that happens on a real-time basis from 9:30 to 4, but it has everything to do with context and understanding, you know, the market as a whole, man. So,
And
yeah,
Lucci, you
and
brought
another
up.
thing Lucci just mentioned, that's great, and that's why, you know, it's awesome to have him on this thing today. He mentioned a seatbelt. Like, I think that's the most underappreciated thing.
yeah,
You don't understand.
yeah,
And I'm being dead straight with all of you guys. And those of you who are members know I've said this a million times. If I didn't have the two things, the sweeper activity and sentiment, if I didn't have that, I'd be lost in effing space out there, seriously. And I would be firing at anything that looked half decent, okay, just because I was looking for action. Like, I knew early in my career that I had that degenerate blood. I had to find a seatbelt. Otherwise, I was dead. You know, because I love the action. You know, I can make anything sound or look bullish to myself if I'm being honest. So the one,
No, Jay,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Here's an example of the current climate we're in, right? And again, those of you who are members know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, there is a particular type of flow out there right now. Okay, it's solely in these reopening names: energy, commodities, banks. Okay. If you don't like those names in those particular sectors for whatever reason, okay, and you're buying shit in tech, you're getting demolished right now. Okay. All those hype names on Twitter and everywhere else that people were doing cartwheels over, they're getting mangled. Okay? Smoked. And if it wasn't for the flow, I would have dip bought every single one of these things and got my head chopped off. Every single one. Because I like those companies too. But
it was insane. It was insane. On the way up for some of those names, the Jumias of the world, the freaking plugs of the world, all those battery companies, everybody was just juiced up. All the EV names, the SPAC names. It was just lit up. It was lit every day in the Wall Street Jesus chat. It was lit every day. And you know what I was doing the whole time? I was like, get the fuck out of here. This shit's up another 10 points. When can I short this thing? But if I didn't, because of my nature is to short the piss out of all of this. Sure, I might have been right, but that doesn't fucking mean anything. If you're gonna short a Jumia at $20, the shit goes to 70. What the fuck are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You can't. What are you gonna do, man? You can't. You just can't. So when you see all this happening, you know, it's the seatbelt that Jay was talking about. And again, whether you choose to listen to it or not, that's on you. But the information is there enough to be like, all right, there's clearly way too much momentum in here for me to fucking short this stuff. I got to protect myself. So I had to protect myself. I had to step out of line, even though it pained me so much to watch a name like Jumia go to fucking $70 for watching all this shit go to friggin' wherever the hell it went to. And to look at it now, back to where it came from. Come on. Come on.
And you guys, I mean, this is one thing that when we were in Chicago, we would go when we were running a fund, a while back, we'd go into these trading desks of these like very legit prop firms, not public, there's no public name to these things. These are just like seasoned, 7-9 figure options traders. And I never forget sitting down next to one of these guys we were talking to him about his trading, and he had Wall Street Jesus. He had the flow up on the screen, and I was like, dude, you use Wall Street Jesus? That's our guy. Like, we work with him. And he was like, holy shit, this guy's amazing. I was like, how do you work with him? Whatever. How do you use the flow? And he was like, honestly, I have my own process. I've had my own process for many, many years, but this guy saves me from at least one very bad decision a month. And that is worth its weight in gold to me, So there's some people who are looking at this and who are like, I need to use it to generate ideas and stuff like that. And there's other people who are like, saves me from one bad decision.
So they don't get run over.
Good.
I use it so I don't get fucking run over, man.
Right. So, all right, well, you guys, there's a shitload of questions in the Q&A portion, and we're going to get to that because usually a lot of the best content comes out of your guys' questions. But real quick, I'm going to tell you about this new course, right? So this whole webinar series that we're doing is we've got another 3 episodes, another 3 sessions in this webinar series. We're going to be back once a week. So come back with us, next Monday, the Monday after that. And it's all leading up to the launch of the course, which is on June 14th. And as I said before, I mean, we basically sat down with Jay and we said, we've gotten thousands of requests over the past couple of years to do a course with you where people can understand, sit down, and in one course experience, understand how to trade flow, understand, take as much of the knowledge as you've accumulated over your 20 years of experience in the markets and translate it into a course experience. So that's what we've done. It's taken a lot of work. Jay's put in a ton of time. We're very appreciative to him for taking all the stuff out of his brain and putting it into a course. That's not easy to do, but that's what we've done. So, and it is the only time that he's taught it live. I don't think that there's going to be another time that he's going to teach it live again. You guys might be able to buy the recordings,
right?
But if you want to be in live with Wall Street Jesus, this is the opportunity to do it. It's the one-stop shop for learning everything you need to know about flow trading. He's also going to talk a lot about sentiment too, which is he could do webinars upon webinars about that, but sentiment is going to be a big portion in this too. You get 10 classes with Jay. You get 3 free months of Steam Room access, which is huge. I mean, that's $675 worth of value just in that. We're going to bring in some other flow traders who are vets from the room, get them to talk about their process, how they use flow. So you guys can get some perspective from other people and how they use it. And what else? I mean, this is the full shebang. You can go check out and learn about it, sign up. Just go to wallstreetjesus.com/complete-flow, or just go up to products up at the top and click that there. And one thing real quick that you guys should know is that for our members who've been with us for a longer period of time, so that is annual members in the Steam Room, that's people who are Steam Room members who've been with us for more than 6 months, and that is Sang Lucci Master Course students. If you guys are interested, make sure you sign up from within the platform because we got a special deal for you, and that offer will automatically be shown to you from within the platform. Everybody else, you can just go straight to wallstreetjesus.com and sign up. And the only other thing I should mention real quick before I get to the Q&A is that we are going to limit the number of seats that are available to the public for this. And the reason that we're doing that is because it's important for us to have a high quality educational experience for everybody who buys. And, if you get to the point where if we had it just opened up to, let's say, 350 people and everybody's asking questions to Jay live in the classes and stuff, it gets a little crazy. It's unmanageable. So we're limited to 100 seats that are available to the public. Once those are gone, we're shutting it down. Everyone else will have to sign up to buy the recordings. So, and then people have asked, if you buy, do you get lifetime access to it? Yes, you do. So you get access to the recordings, you get access to any other future classes that we do in this course, you get access to that for free. So yeah, we hope to see a bunch of you guys sign up. It's going to be very cool.
Also, Charlie, the thing we've been talking about recently, because we got a lot of requests for questions. As far as indicators, I'm not a huge indicator guy, but a lot of people are interested in the type of indicators I got on my screens, on charts and stuff like that. I'll be sharing that as well, getting you guys set up, because that could be a little confusing, as you guys know. So something else we're going to throw in there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, if you guys want to learn more specifically about what we're teaching in the course, definitely go to that website. But this is by far the most by far the most in depth that we've ever gone. We really asked Jay to kind of open up the kimono on this one, and that's what he's doing. So this is a great opportunity for you all. And enough from me. Let's get some questions from you guys. We got a lot of them in here. So. Right. This is like worth, and for everybody who's asking, like, can you explain flow trading? The next webinar we're doing on Monday is all about sweepers, which is the most important type of flow. So we're going to go kind of more into the basics on Monday. I think it's worth you all who are maybe a little bit newer to come into that one.
Jay, why don't you hit him with a basic one-liner?
Yeah, there you go.
What is flow, Jay?
Yeah, so a basic, these days I just assume, right, with Robinhood now, buy calls, buy puts, everybody knows options. Back in the day, you probably had to hold 5 webinars just to explain the whole shit. But generally, this is order flow in the options market that we're looking at on a day-to-day basis. So what we're looking at is basically professionals, institutions, hedge funds, and how they're positioning in the options market in real time on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so you got alphas out there buying calls, buying puts, they're hedging equity positions with calls and puts, they're replacing equity positions with calls and puts. And in simple English, we concentrate on a very select group of buying, pattern of buying that we mentioned earlier. Stresses to us urgency. It's an aggressive nature of buying, like Lucci mentioned, the player or the institution's looking to get filled, not necessarily what price, what's the best price to get filled, just wants to get filled. So we're looking at patterns of buying in the options market, and we're looking for that aggressive behavior that's taking place. And that's basically what we put into color and context every day. And just so you get an idea, right? And this is why, like, I've never had a course. I don't intend. I never looked at myself as a teacher, especially when it comes to trading, right? Like, I just can't even picture myself attempting to teach anybody how to trade. That's just not, it's not me. But yeah, it's hard enough to teach myself is what I'm getting at. But the one thing I can probably offer enough information on is flow. Like Lucci says, it's in-depth stuff. And if you don't know exactly what you need to look for on a day-to-day basis, you can get really lost, confused, and ultimately that's going to cost you money. So the goal of the actual course for me is to get everybody in there. That's why we wanted to limit the amount of heads in there. But the goal is to get everybody at the end of the course, everybody walking out of there with a game plan for that next morning. When they sit at their desk, they know exactly what they're going to do and look for, right? And then, like Lucci said, it's up to that individual to work on that each and every day, to stay disciplined and to stick to that and get better at that. But my goal, I obviously have no control over that. But my goal is to get you to at least understand what to look for, right? So if you're a day trader, you're going to know what is actionable information to you and what's not, and how to approach it, right? If you're a swing trader, etc. So that's generally the goal of the course, just so you guys understand.
Well said, Jay. Well said. We got some people asking about scheduling and stuff. All that information is on the course page. The classes are going to be held 2 nights a week, starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, but everything is recorded. We got a ton of people who are like, hey, I want to be in on this. I want, access to what you're offering right now, but I can't make every single class. Maybe I can only make a couple. That's why we do the recordings. We make them immediately available. So yeah, so that'll be there. Lucci, do you, let's see, does Lucci use all the market sentiment detailed by Jesus in his trading?
No, I don't. I don't use enough of it, to be quite honest. Half the time I'm in la la land with my head on my ass with like 8 other projects, you know what I mean? So I don't use enough of it. And again, like if in this market, you got to realize after COVID hit, this whole game has changed completely. So all the games that I used to play before COVID hit, that shit don't work anymore. I mean, it's just different,
It's rigged.
and
It's rigged. That's the difference.
exactly. When you that what was it yesterday? Was it Friday? That buyback Friday or Thursday? Like there's shit going on behind this market that it'd be useless for us to talk about it now, but there's stuff that's happening that is so contrary to my whole existence in the sense that what I do and what I'm good at, that shit ain't working. It is not working. And it's been a hard lesson for me to learn, just myself. And, a lot of people ask me from Twitter all the time. Like if I post a loss, I remember when I was posting my gains and losses, they'd be like, why the fuck didn't you just listen to Jay? I'd be like, God, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, listen. You said the thing, right?
Why you gotta rub it in, man? Why, what? I just took the loss, man. Now you gotta tell me I gotta listen to this, man. I'm like, shit, I should have listened.
And they don't get you're a dark sider by nature. The man looks for the short side when he dreams of the short side at night. You guys
it's worked for me for over a decade. It's just worked for me, and I've been able to make millions off this shit. And now we're in just a rigged situation where it is just different. Now, do shorts exist? Absolutely. I crushed friggin' Bitcoin short, the other day. So am I still alive? Of course, baby. I'm always alive. But, what Jay does beyond the just posting the flow and collecting the right data for our traders, okay? In the steam room. These are our traders. These are our children, more or less, man. Everybody comes to the same place. We come hold court. Jesus holds court every day. Every day he holds court every day. We all listen to the same dude every fucking day. Every single person, whether we're listening to him from the audio or whether we're reading the shit that he says. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I don't do enough of it. So to answer your question, I don't do enough of it. And if I really want to get back in this game and trade US equities, I gotta start doing some things that I'm not used to. And one of those things is listening to Jesus. I'm really not used to doing that. So, one of those things happens to be that. Or I just go trade this crypto shit, which has been working out for me. So I got some choices.
Or we go into a bear market and you be doing cartwheels all over Puerto Rico.
Exactly. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, but at the same time, the market is the market, man. If you're not adapting, what are you doing? So Jay really helps with the seatbelt aspect of it, which is, hey man, this is what's going on. This is how all these funds are positioned. This is where the money flow is going. What the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? And you gotta ask yourself that question. Especially if you ain't making money, if you ain't making money, you got to ask yourself that question. You might not like the answer to that question, but you got to ask yourself that question. So yeah, I need to read a lot more. I don't read enough.
All right. Well, this is a good question from Jared. Kind of similar along the same lines. Can order flow be weaponized against other traders? Like, is there a case when we should not trust the tape or flow and step aside?
I love this fucking question. I love this question because now we're starting to move into a world where, yes, is it being used to kind of throw some shit out there, and just kind of push some sentiment? I don't know. I would love to say yes because I'm all about that shit and I see some of it sometimes. And again, there's no way to prove it. I want to hear Jesus' opinion on this.
Without a doubt. And the thing is too, like, that's, again, the type of flow. Like we see, and you could almost now, these days, more and more of it, it's so easy to recognize. You see these cheap, aggressive, almost like they're algo. We call them algo sweeps, so they're like programs. They come in, blitz names in weeklies that are heavily shorted. Yep. You see these bullshit names that would never catch any sort of real flow in their life. Yep. All of a sudden, they're lighting up like Christmas trees in weeklies, right? I'm talking about 20, 30-cent premium weeklies, just to squeeze names, get people bulled up, and they make their money and probably short the shit out of them after they move, So that type of spec action that is manipulative is out there more than ever right now, more than ever. And I remember like a line, or not even a line, the thing you used to look at a lot, Lucci, back in the day when you could actually short something. We used to see this type of flow come in, and it'd come late in a rally, late in the move. And, Lucci would get people to look at it like, because are these people going to get trapped, right? You get an idea and get a gauge on, all right, look at this. Everybody's piling in on a Friday. Sentiment's all bullish. The moves, it's been going on all week. All of a sudden you got down Monday, you got all these longs trapped. Yeah. And that's going to add to the momentum on the downside, right?
That's my specialty. That's my specialty. That's literally the world that I live in. I wait till everybody gets cooked up, and I come in and I look for blood, man. I'm out there with an axe, man, just chopping heads off. That's what I do. Now, has it been working in this market? It's different. It's different. Let's just say that the squeezes are more, because now, like, it's so powerful now. And the numbers, the sheer numbers in retail world, we're not just talking about US equities, we're talking about crypto, we're talking about any market for anything. We're even talking about NFTs, fucking art, sneakers, whatever it is. The bid for this shit, the retail bid for this shit, it's so much that those that are sitting there on the other side, and by the way, there's always somebody on the other fucking side, they can't take it. They can't take it. They can't take how much pressure it is. So the blow off is just a lot harder to find, but there always is that blow off. So again, that's my world. And to answer that question, hell yeah. If now we know the whole world is looking at flow, and there's 10 competing, 20 competing products out there to us, yeah, man, you got to think about it. That's why you need other skill sets too. And that's what makes Jay different. You know what I'm saying? This ain't just a data feed. This is not just a data feed. If it was, we would have no more, we wouldn't have the value. You know what I mean?
We got some people asking, can you, because tape, which is different than flow, tape, the level 2 and the time and sales you can get in basically any platform, but flow, you have to subscribe to a service, right? I mean, Jay, is there anything out there? Are there free flow providers out there right now?
No, not free. No. Like, a lot of people, and again, on Lucci's point, that it's just so out there. Like, you have people that stare at time of sales on Fidelity or Thinkorswim, and they see an order with the word sweep in it, and they automatically think it's an aggressive bet that's gonna get the stock moving. And again, if you don't know the context of the order, if you don't know what's going on around that order, that doesn't mean a damn thing, right? You don't know if the guy's rolling a position. You don't know if he's buying to close. There's so many other things it can mean that, staring at a time of sales off a Ameritrade or Fidelity, you can't get that information.
Yeah. So Fidelity will do like a little filter. I mean, TOS, they'll do these little filters where they'll do these little scans, and they'll put those buzzwords in there too. And that's another thing that's kind of messed up out here. But let's face it, it's 2020. I got 8 scam Instagram accounts that are selling people fucking $4,000 courses and getting them to fork over $4,000 in crypto. And I got scam accounts left and right. So what the fuck do you think is gonna happen? Like this is a world where, and remember, this shit ain't black and white anymore. We haven't been black and white for a while. It's 2021. This shit ain't black and white. You need context and everything. I'm talking about life here. Everything is about the context. The shit ain't no different for this. So yeah, there's some brokers that will push out some filters and say you got an intermarket sweep here on X, Y, and Z name. And again, I'll look at it. I'll pull up that option. I'll look at where the order went off. And I know to do that because I'm me. And I'll be like, why the fuck would you even put this out there? And remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about money. We're talking about a service that wants you to trade. You think Robinhood gives a flying fuck about your livelihood, man? You are on another planet. You really are on another planet. Like, as soon as you buy a stock, they put confetti in your fucking face. What do you think is happening? What the fuck do you think is happening? And then you want to come on, man. Come. Don't make me do this. Don't make me do this to you.
He's right.
Right. He's right. He's extremely right. Someone's asking, how is this course different than the master course?
Very different.
Yeah, very different. The master course, let's start with this course. This course is really about flow trading. Now, if you're a beginning trader, are you still going to get a lot out of this course? Yes, absolutely, because it's going to give you a very powerful framework of how to use flow, and you're going to get introduced to the markets through Jay's perspective, which is a very, very, very good way to get initiated into the markets. But this is not like, we're not going so much into trading psychology in this. Jay, of course, will talk a little bit about psychology, but there's not like a dedicated class to that. This is really about flow, and either trading flow on its own, or as an equities trader or an options trader, or layering it on top of the trading process that you already have. The master course is more, full on comprehensive, teaching you everything from the ground up, very basics of equities and options, tape reading, Ranchero's approach. There's some flow in there. Lucci's approach to options. The master course is more comprehensive. It's more expensive too, of course. So I think that's the quick and dirty, on the difference between the two.
Yeah. After you bringing that up, man, I got to point out, like, I got a couple traders in Puerto Rico too that I'm sort of teaching. And, these are young cats, so, 19, 20. And you got to realize how much of a different world we're talking about, Jesus, like, and the attention span too.
Yeah.
I give them a video on how to read tape. They got to watch it 6 times. They still don't know what the fuck they're doing. So, we got to revamp everything here, so again, this particular course that Jesus is throwing at you, this is about this specific methodology and really how to understand all the different aspects that come in. My course is comprehensive in the sense that you get to learn how to read tape, how do you use these options, how do you put it all together, how do you build a strategy for yourself, and then I even talk about who you are as a person. Like the whole point of trading is for you to figure out who the fuck you are. So that's my course, you know what I mean? And again, like, so are you going to want to take that after? You probably should, but Jay's class is really about this particular science here of using this data to help to help what you're doing.
Well said.
Yep.
Well said. We got a question here. Can you give a recent example of equity you day traded based on flow and knew is going to generate high momentum? I think let's save that for next week, because we're going to go deep into some examples, into an example next week. So Jay, Andrew, I know you asked that question. It's a great question. We can talk about that next week. Let's do like 1 or 2 more. Let's see.
Yo, Jay, you coming to Puerto Rico?
Oh man, I've been to Puerto Rico quite a few times, but I haven't been there any recent. I think since I had a kid, I haven't. That's when my life,
Yeah.
kind of.
I mean, the whole crew's coming, man. Bring her, man. I got my daughter too, man.
Yeah. Maybe I'll take her. You're in San Juan or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I stayed at that hotel, the San Juan, every time I gone down there.
El San Juan Hotel.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
no
yeah,
doubt,
yeah.
no doubt. Swanky ass over there.
All right, so we'll do one more. This is a good one. How do you use open interest to determine if the flow is a roll or new?
Nice.
Or do you
open interest? Yeah, you could. In other words, so open interest. What you're generally looking at in open interest, the following morning, you get a better idea of what carried over, right, and what didn't. So a quick example, let's say we see 10,000 contracts trade in Microsoft calls, right? The stock pushes higher and we're wondering how much of that 10,000 is that player still holding the following day. And you'll see by looking at the open interest changes, you get an idea of how much he held. For rolling purposes, you would see another position close alongside that position that adds. Make sense? So let's say, I'll give you an example, maybe you understand. Let's say 10,000 contracts, Microsoft calls, somebody bought, right? and we see another 10,000 Microsoft calls hit the bid, different strike. Okay, that looks like a roll. Now, looking the open interest the next morning, you'll see what was added and what was subtracted from open interest, and it'll confirm whether that guy rolled or end up, buying both lines. So that's what open interest, basically, you got to understand, everything we do with flow on the fly is an assumption. We never know for sure what unless you get into the minds of this player, these players, which you can't do, or you know them personally, you never know exactly what they're trying to do, right? So by looking at the flow and looking at the positioning around that particular order, I can get almost like a best guess, right? A best guess of what that player is trying to do. Open interest the following morning will confirm that exactly in the exact numbers. So that's what open interest does. Okay, just a quick pointer on open interest will probably help a lot of you guys. I know most of you know it, but some of you out there I have gotten questions about. When you look at open interest the following morning, anything with a plus in front of it, okay, that doesn't mean bought or sold. It means it was added to open interest.
Right.
Okay, so let's say Lucci writes 5,000 Microsoft calls, right?
Mhm.
Sells them to open.
Yep.
The next day, open interest, you're going to see a plus added to open interest.
Yep.
That doesn't mean he bought them.
Yep.
Okay, because he sold them to open. So anything with a plus adds, so it's adding a position. Anything with a minus closes a position. Okay, because a lot of people think plus minus bought or sold. That has nothing to do with that.
Again,
All right.
context, folks. Context.
All right, guys. I appreciate you all being here. Lucci, very much appreciate you hopping on for this. Jay, of course, thank you for being here as always. I'll be on with you again, Jay, for once a week for the next 3 weeks. So you guys can come back next Monday. We'll be going more into the fundamentals of flow, the basics, what a sweep is, why it's so important. And if you guys want more information on the course, just go to wallstreetjesus.com, go to products, and then select the complete.
Did he freeze
on there?
Oh, there he is.
That should be it. Lucci, any other parting words for these guys? Okay.
No. I take the course. I'm taking it. I'm taking it as well. It'll be exciting because again, Jay has a lot of flavor. He's from. You can tell where he's from. You know what part of the country he's from. So if not only for the commentary and the words, and just to laugh, it's worth it enough.
The slang.
Word. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Have a
And
great
I'll
week,
see
everybody.
most of you guys tomorrow. We got another webinar talking about the market and shit. So
Flow show tomorrow, open
Yep.
for free for everybody. Just look at our Twitter and you'll see it.
Same time.
Flow show,
place.
4:15. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Thanks everybody stopping by. Lucci, good seeing you, brother.
You too, man.
All right, later. See.
See ya.